Let's get it. Episode 78. Craig G, living legend. He's frustrated with me right now. That's all right, though. We're going to redeem ourselves, buddy. You got the hoodie on. Thank you for representing. His name is etched in the history books, Juice Crew, Queensbridge. And he told me he doesn't do interviews. This is why, because I'm high. So, but this is important, though, because, man, on all jokes aside, I really respected what you've done in the game ever since fucking dropping science. Like everything. And like you've made your mark in this. So it's important because you don't speak a lot, but it's like you're a big part of this, man. So I appreciate you for joining us.
Rap is what you're saying? You just skip like 3-4 songs, you go right to dropping science. So
fucking with me right now.
Hard time today, man.
I can tell. Sorry, I can take it though.
Messing with you. But before we start this, right? Let me say this.
What up?
You have always supported me. You have always showed love. So for any other quote unquote journalists in here, do not start with asking me for interviews. I do not do them. I don't really have much to say. You can hear it in the music. So with that being said, stay out of my inbox with interview requests. I actually work in the healthcare field now. I don't really have time to do these things anymore. So with that being said, let's continue.
But yeah, it's a good disclaimer. So, you know what I'm saying? Everyone will be like, oh, Craig G. But there were some online. I did do the knowledge and I got some information. So, I mean, there were some, but I understand. So, so again, I appreciate you for doing something that you don't normally do.
Yeah.
I got a couple of ground rules before we get started. If you guys got questions, please use the questions feature below. Then I can pull them up if they make sense. Also, if you get on any fuck shit in the comments, just like on the page, I will block your ass. That is just what that is, straight up. So, yeah, I wanted to do some digging first, though, man. Like, cause a lot of shit has blown my mind when I was kind of prepping for this interview. As far as like the age you were when you started doing this shit, because like seeing you on TV, I guess, I mean, I realized I was like, damn, he's only 3 years older than me. And but seeing you on TV and stuff, I'm like, yo, this Juice Crew and everything. So like, I want to go back to the beginning a little bit, like as far as how that all linked up. You were rocking with like grown ass dudes at that time.
Basically, Marley Marl lived in my building in Queensbridge. That's pretty much how it all started. I was in a breakdance crew at first. You know what I'm saying? We were called Tan, Twice as Nice. I was the worst breakdancer. I used to pop lock. I sucked. I mean, I won't say I sucked, but I wasn't good. And what happened is that there was this talent show, and there was only a certain amount of members that had to be on stage, and they pretty much told me that I couldn't do it. So I joined in as a rapper, and I came in second place. And from there, I was like, okay, I think I'm going to be an MC. And I was probably about 10 years old when this happened. So I started getting my skills up, battling dudes in the neighborhood. And Marley pretty much knew who the MCs were in the hood. But being that I lived in the building, in the proximity, I guess everybody was like, yo, you should check out Craig. You should check out Craig. So when I was 12 and it was time to do this song called Shout Rap, basically, that's how I got involved with doing that song with Marley. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Shan had to help me structure the rhyme because I just went in there and rhymed for 5 minutes. I didn't know how to like make a song basically. So
you were like 12, right? Or something like that?
12.
So who were you, like, that shit is crazy to me because I looked up the ages of everybody and I'm like, this is wild. Yeah, somebody mentioned the Duck Alert, of course. I mean, that was the home run. So let's
we're going 3 years later after that. So.
Right. So that's 88, right? When the In Control joint. So how did the symphony come about as far as your involvement in that? I mean, considering there's so many other heads in that, how'd you get down with that?
Basically the symphony was just timing, basically. Me or Ace wasn't supposed to be on the song. It was supposed to just be Kane and G-Rap. And we went to do the cover for In Control, the album cover and did the back cover photo shoot. And Marley was like, "Yo, we need one more song," and he invited G-Rap and Kane to come to the studio. Now, Kane at the time was doing mad shows. Kane was hot already. He was like, I think Raw and all these other joints was out, and he was hot. So Marley was like, "Yo, let's put Craig on it." And after some reluctance, they agreed. And I used to hang out with Master Ace a whole lot during this time, like stay at his house. I knew his mom's, God rest her dead. And he drove me to Marley's house. And though it seemed like nobody wanted to go first, we were just all in our collective corners writing. Like I was trying to do I'm 15 years old. I'm trying to just come up with a hard verse, and it was taking me a minute. So Marley was like, "Yo, Ace, this was Marley's key. Yo, what you got for this? What you got for this?" So Ace jumped on it, and the rest is history for him with that. And, basically I came, and what I don't like basically is everybody trying to compare the verses. Well, y'all, Craig G verse was I'm like, yo, I was a kid, man. All right. I was in the 10th grade, maybe?
10th grade.
You know what I'm saying? So look, I think I held my own. That's all I can say for a kid compared to grown men. So
well, personally, so again, I didn't know you were 15 when the shit came out. And so I've always said when I have talked to people about the verses, I was like, that's like one of the top verses on the joint to me. Fuck the age. I mean, I thought it was. I mean, that shit was crazy, yo. Like, who had the concept for the huh?
Moving forward, the project Ramblings of an Angry Old Man was always meant to be a joke about how people think that I am so much older than I actually am. It was I'm an Aries, so it was sarcasm. So, it's that dry sarcasm people never seem to get, and they think I'm an asshole. So
I can relate. I can relate sometimes. So I mean, I get it. I get it, but it's still wild to me. But I mean, people are going to compare me. That's what fans do. But who had the idea for the video?
I believe that was Classic Concepts, who was Ralph McDaniels and Lionel. They did a whole bunch of videos, from Video Music Box fame. They was doing a lot of videos, and that was the concept. Again, they just called me, and we got on the bus and went upstate, and that's how that went down.
I did see in one interview where you were talking about how, like, considering it being that you were one of the younger cats in the crew, that you weren't like out there like that. That your parents were keeping you grounded and stuff like that.
Ooh, man, what the hell? I mean, where was I going? Where
What?
was I going at a show on a Wednesday night, when I'm in the 10th, 11th grade? You know what I mean? I wasn't going to any shows like that. I was a kid. My mom's was in education, so the whole school, not going to school thing was not going to happen. So I used to go out occasionally on the weekends. So
what was their like mood about I mean, like it seemed like they still supported it though. So what was their whole energy about? Like, you had that passion for it.
Fool for no bebop de bop music. That was the exact quote.
Damn. Because the story is interesting because there's a lot of cats that have a similar were hanging. I mean, I've talked to some MCs that were hanging around older cats and they got caught up in a lot of shit because they were out on the Wednesdays. You know what I mean?
Pop music. That's what it was called to them.
Damn.
What's gonna happen? So it's cool. It probably saved me from a lot of nonsense, like you said. So
right, of course. Where were you, I guess, during the whole BDP, Juice Crew, MC Shan stuff?
I was there.
Well, I mean, as far as like some cats got involved. I mean, I've heard Kane say about his involvement. He's like, I mean, were you? I mean, I didn't hear any tracks or anything, right? You didn't, huh?
I made Duck Alert.
As far as was there any joints that these as far as later with these guys coming back at you or anything? Like personally, I didn't hear them
mention. But again, that could be due to the fact that I wasn't really around like that, or also because I was already working at BLS answering the phones. and I would freestyle every weekend on the air. So people kind of knew what I was about even back then. So I don't know. But at the end of the day, you know, I was ready. I was ready. You know what I'm saying? I was always ready. That's what that just was. So
that's what's up. One thing I like to find out about people is, as far as background, like I want to go back to Queensbridge when you were growing up, because a lot of people that are like maybe a few years younger than us just know Mobb Deep, Queensbridge. But like, so what was it like when you were growing up around there?
There's some people in the room right now from Queensbridge. Shout out my man Perry. That's one of my friends I grew up when I was a kid. I was basically, you know, you grow up in Queensbridge, you're not around some goon shit. But I was always known as the MC. I would like, they thought I was crazy. I would walk around Queensbridge like mumbling rhymes to myself because I was just so into it so much. Like that everywhere you saw me, I was just rhyming to myself. You know what I mean? And my brothers were kind of like the goons, you know what I'm saying? And they were the ones running around the street. But there were rules to it back then. Dudes would not let you get involved in stuff that you shouldn't have been involved in if you had some kind of talent. You know what I mean? And it was always that way for me when I was in Queensbridge. It was like, yo, chill out, man. Just, yo, go to the studio. Don't be over here. It's kind of wild right now. They wild, you know. So my heroes growing up as an MC were the dudes that used to come to the park jams. You know what I'm saying? And there was crews in Queensbridge that were like famous because Queensbridge was its own world.
Right. So big.
Like block, we had the High Fidelity crew, which was my brother was part of the crew. Jazzy Jamel. The names are gonna floor you. Relly Rel, my brother's name was Spanky T. And these dudes would like set up on the light pole and just rhyme, and you could, you know, hear it on the block. But the park jams, I was kind of, we would go when it was like just about to turn dark, but we had to be home at a certain time. We wasn't, because something was always going down in there at night. So, you know, Queensbridge when I was coming up was wild as hell, but there was rules to certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like if the goon was coming to shoot up the block, he would tell dudes to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of a foreigner to how things go right now.
Yeah, no, it's a little different. It's funny. I have a similar experience. I was a b-boy and I was fucking around, and like the older cats was like, "Yo, get out of here, man. Go do that dance shit. Go do them videos and shit." And you know what I'm saying? That's, you know, that helped. They were like, "Stop, man. This ain't you." So that's what real OGs do. You know, at least they let you know that they coming to get busy.
You know, look, I mean, that's why you never hear me really rap about all of that type of nonsense. But at the same time, growing up where I grew up, I'm not really afraid of much. You know what I'm saying? Because I done seen everything. So I just, you know, when you grew up in the hood like that, you just mind your business, man. You know what I'm saying? You mind your business and you don't act like what you're not, because that attracted more trouble than anything else.
Good point. And you made a point that, like you were saying, I think you said somewhere where, like, you know, when you came back home from tour and stuff, you know, people wouldn't let you get a big head just based on where you were, you know, growing up.
Well, I mean, that's just how I was in the hood. It was like, you know, look, in most hoods, the number one saying is, that dude ain't putting no money in my pocket. And that's just the attitude, how I was out there. You understand what I'm saying? It was one of those situations where they didn't let you really, and then at the same time, you couldn't really actually feel like that anyway when you still pissy elevators and, you know, crackheads and dope fiends around still. You couldn't really get a big head because you see where you live. So, you know, it was that type of stuff where you had to kind of stay grounded because you had a constant reminder that you made it where people know you, but you ain't really make it yet. So.
Got you. Yo, what's the origin of the pen, man? I mean, because I've always thought you had a unique, I don't know, a unique flow to me. And I mean, it's dope, but like, what's the, you know, you were mentioning some of the cats in the park. Like, were there certain MCs or cats that was like, yo, were you honing your style after cats early on, or was it just always, your own shit?
It was a little bit of everything, really. It was a little bit of everything. But I will say, at the end of the day, with Run DMC, them coming out and being as big as they was and looking as normal as possible, looking like your older brothers that just came off the block. My whole thing came from that. Let me just be me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, let me not try to put on a persona or anything like that. And I believe that's what kind of makes you last long, because you're not playing an act. You don't have to be on. You're just you. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to like doing songs and stuff like that, it was always a battle element to it for me. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much where it stems from with me. And that's like the origin of everything. But as you notice, as it started to progress in the past few years, I'm kind of getting more on some storytelling and stuff like that, and rapping about life and stuff like that, because I've experienced so much life. I think I should share it with people.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
makes perfect sense. That I was listening to the we can talk about it, the Asphyxia joint, and because the algorithms are crazy. I've been following you and shit. I mean, as far as on IG for a minute, and I had no idea that you put out this project with my man Bebop. That's my man, and I knew about the one in 2020, but I didn't know about this shit, yo. And I was like, what the fuck?
Bob is dealing with a lot right now.
Yes, he is.
His wisdom passed and all that, but. Yeah, Bob.
Salute to Bebop, for real. He's a good brother.
Bob hit me up and was, yo, y'all want to do this project with you? And I was like, all right, cool. If I got time to go in the studio. And he started sending me joints, and I was just feeling them. But I was just coming off of the Fragile Ego, and I wanted to kind of still stay in that zone where I'm not just rapping about rap, because I feel like that. My Achilles heel, where I do rapping about rap. And once I got into the zone with the Fragile Ego, that's when it kind of turned into me doing something else, as opposed to just talking about the industry boogeyman and all of that, as some reviewers have said about my previous work. So I wanted to really just talk about real life stuff and see if people could relate. And the Fragile Ego really, really connected with people, and I just wanted to stay in that zone. So,
when did you drop what's it, the Sword of the Pen is Mightier? When did you drop that? I said 2021. When?
January.
Okay. Damn. So it came right on the heels of the right on the heels, sort of.
Yeah, I had actually went in the studio and did maybe 4 EPs when COVID really started. And there's still like 2 unreleased projects that, I'm sitting on, that I still have to get like mixed a little bit. But, like I said, I've been busy doing other stuff, really. So, so.
Yo, is the Asphyxia joint a true story? Because that hit me hard, man.
Which one?
Like, we talking about your kid, like
that ain't
school.
The one you talking about with Fragile Ego, you mean Dear Daddy?
No, on the Pen is Mightier, the what's the Asphyxia? Right?
Oh no. That wasn't autobiographical, but it was. When I grew up in Queensbridge, I saw a friend, an older friend like that we knew from the hood, get choked out by the police. So that kind of inspired the story, really. So
no, that hit home though for me, because there were parts of that where it actually happened to me, and I did see the versatility in this, man. I appreciated this album. I was pleasantly surprised, because I didn't know. So I was like, what the fuck? And I'm prepping for this joint, and I'm like, what? Big Bobby, he didn't even tell me, man. So I didn't, it was crazy. So
well, check it out. As I'm reading the comments, shout out to all the people who constantly ask me, when is something new coming out? When since 2003, I've dropped about 7 projects.
Facts.
Maybe 8. Okay? Stop asking me. Do your homework. Go look it up. Okay? Right. Because it gets tiring that you're doing music, especially for the fan base that you came up with, and they're not doing the knowledge on the new music, not just me, but other artists from my era that are doing quality work or putting out. You understand what I'm saying? So,
You have to
look,
check now, man. It's a different age, man. You have to
you
physically go and
have
look for people's
now because
shit.
we don't have big budgets to promote stuff. So you have to go find it. If you have a favorite artist, why don't you go check to see if they put something new out?
Right? That's all I do. I mean, like, I thought there were groups. I mean, I'll use this example all the time. I thought Camp Low, well, since I thought people had told me that Camp Low had basically retired, and they were putting out, Geechee Sway was putting out home runs left and right between like 2016 and 2019. So, I
All
mean,
the time. All the time.
so you really have to look now. I mean, we got lazy, though. If you're old, you got lazy because I told you could turn on Arsenio Hall and Living Color, and albums were being broken at that on those shows, but it ain't like that now.
Nah. You have to actually go find it. I mean, that's how I discover new artists, like the ones that I like. You understand what I'm saying? So those type of scenarios. So,
Yo, how did you end up doing the 8 Mile and the Get Rich or Die Trying shit? Like, how did that come about?
weird story again. Shout out to Wendy Day. She brought us out to LA for the Rap Olympics. It was me, Thurston Howell. I think Punch and Words was there. I'm not really particularly sure. And I had met M and Paul at the hotel where they were doing the certain things that, as far as getting in the battle and everything. And I think some of them already had knew M. And I met him there briefly, and I actually judged the Rap Olympics battle that he was in against the dude otherwise. I was one of the judges, and I felt he won the battle.
That Eminem was in.
Yeah, me and one of the other judges had a little animated discussion about it. So fast forward maybe a few more years later, we're doing a show in Orlando and in Detroit. And we flew to Orlando, and then we was going to rent a van and drive to Detroit. These were those days. So we get to Detroit after driving I don't know how much time, and the show got canceled. So me and my boy Will Pack, we had got some weed from Miami that we brought to Detroit with us. So we go on to look for something to roll up in, and we go to this gas station. We walk in, mind you, from the hotel. We walk in freezing ass downtown Detroit. And we at this gas station market. We get some Phillies. And off in the distance, I keep hearing music playing. And I'm like, yo, what the hell is that? Come to find out, it was the actual shelter that the movie was based on behind the gas station. So we walk in, and everybody already knows me from the battle scene, and this is what was going on in there. And me and Proof had like Arrested Dead. Me and Proof had like a brief battle, which was really friendly, but we had a battle, and that's how me and him became mad cool.
Oh, shit. Rest in peace.
When it was time for them to do the movie, I also had the same lawyer as Paul Rosenberg, and they contacted me and was like, yo, we need somebody to help with these lyrics for the actors that were playing against Eminem. And they had me do it via fax machine. I'm at the crib, I'm writing, they sent me the script. It was actually called the New Detroit Project at that point, and I'm writing the lyrics, and I'm sending them back. They're approving them, sending me my check, and I'm like, okay, dope. And then on New Year's Eve, I get a call. No, this one, the two-way pages was rocking. I got a page from Paul, and Paul was like, yo, I might need you to come out here to help coach some of the actors. A lot of the actors, the extras and the dudes was rappers already, but like Anthony Mackie and them and a couple of others, they wanted me to coach the mannerisms in the battle, and that's how I wound up on the DVD and the bonus footage and stuff like that. So
dope. Is that what led to the Get Rich or Die Trying?
Yeah, basically it was pretty much, well, he did that, but I only wrote like a couple of scenes in that movie. But shout out to all of them, man, because it kind of raised my stock. But I just like the checks, to be honest with you. They was pretty nice. So
Yeah, I heard you say they were regular. They were like they were guaranteed.
Yeah. You getting paid on Thursday. FedEx was at your door with the check on Thursday. So
Yeah, that's what the fuck
like,
is up.
unlike record labels, you know.
Right, yeah, and yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a little bit too. But you did mention that other than Roxanne and Shantae, you didn't, because I was gonna say, oh, I bet he did a lot of ghostwriting, but you said you didn't really do that, and I heard you say, no, because because you're such a purist, you can't really see yourself doing that. I add on to that a little bit, man, because I've talked to artists who don't have people write for them, have written for others, and have said, like, even let's say they say, well, so and so performed it, nobody could perform it like them, and I'm like, yeah, that's your thoughts though. So share a little bit more on that, please.
I mean, I just don't have the patience for it. I'm always constantly doing music myself. You know what I mean? And I be needing all my mental stories for my damn self. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to give away darts. Especially if the person doesn't say it right, too, at that. You'd be like, damn, I could have kept that verse for myself, man. You know, it happens when I do collab jobs. Like, I'll give away a hook and be like, damn, I should have kept that for myself, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those type of things where, and on top of that, I just don't really, I don't have the time, man. I don't have the time. I'm in 2 careers now, and I just don't have the time to, like, put to trying to get in the head of another artist at this moment. I just don't have the time. So
right. That's a good point you made. I've never really heard an artist speak about that, where you're saying that, those that you want to save your thoughts. I mean, because I was talking, El Sensei about this. He was like, yo, we have to put together thoughts that you guys are going to want to pay for. So, he's like, that's hard sometimes. So I get it. It makes sense, unless that's all you do is just, ghostwrite as a career or something. But,
well, yeah, because some people could write and don't have performance chops or the personality to be in the forefront. So,
Right. Yeah, I got a question for you. It's been, you're the perfect person to ask, because I've heard different definitions from your peers. What is your definition, I guess, based on how you grew up, of a freestyle?
Okay. A freestyle was originally just any random verse you had, whether it was written or not,
right,
off to the side to do in a battle or a rhyme on the radio. That's what the original definition of freestyle was.
Right. That's what Kane said.
So, I don't know how it mutated into off the head, but that's what people are considering it now. You know what I'm saying? But I still believe the original definition always has been just a random verse that you have. Shout out to all the people in Australia. I see y'all up in here, but y'all never booked me to come out there, so I'm mad at you guys. How about that?
My daughter's in Aries. I'm all right. Fucking with people. Yeah. No, so that's it. Yeah, that's the original definition I heard. I mean, I talked to cats that like are so 90s centric though, that it's like, no, it's this. And I'm like, yo, that's not what it originally was. So I'm glad I'm glad you cleared it up. But you've done both though, right? I mean,
yeah, but I mean, as I'm maturing, I know I can't be right about everything.
No. But I'm saying you're corroborating
definitions. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what it is. It's different definitions.
Right.
So
I mean, and now, yes,
we called what they call freestyle now off the top. That's what we called it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yo, I'm gonna go off the top. So,
you said, because one thing that blew my mind was when I was digging for this interview, is I heard a house track with Rod Digger.
oh,
and real quick, because I'm a house head, and then I saw in one interview you were saying, like, if you had a regret, it would have been that on your first album that you had a few less house tracks on there. So, like, What's good with that track, man? And like, you know, is that a
Well,
Queensbridge thing? Because I talked to Big Twins one time, and he said to me, he was like, "Yo, son, I'll fuck you up in that house shit." So I was like, "What?"
the joint with Rod Digger was work for hire, first of all. But when it comes to house music, and the reason I regretted it on my first album was because, like, you know, men of a certain age, like my age, we grew up and we liked the early house music. You understand what I'm saying? Like, gotta have house, music, and 10 City. We liked all of that. You know what I'm saying? And when, at a certain point, even the legendary Tunnel, before Flex and them took it over, they would play hip hop, house, they would play.
Yes.
And house, the girls used to dance. So we really was into it, you know, and you'd come to the party, you'd have like the dry rag looped around your belt for when you were sweating, and you was really dancing. You know what I'm saying? And I liked house music. So what happened was the A&R that signed me to Atlantic was a house DJ. And he signed me off a strength of a song that was big in New York already before I even signed to Atlantic Records, called Turn This House Into a Home. And on the strength of that, they were like, yo, so we want you to do this many hip hop songs. I'm 17, $50,000. Sure, let's do it. But what I wasn't really thinking was, you know, I'm coming off the heels of Dropping Science and the Symphony and all this stuff. And these people are the ones that are waiting for me to come out, not this A&R telling me what to do.
Right.
So, you know, I did it. And as I recollect and look back on it, I definitely regret it because it was something that I let another person help me make the decision to do. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why the second album was called Now That's More Like It.
That's what I was thinking.
Because I was not feeling the Kingpin album really like that. You know what I'm saying? We rushed it. We completely rushed it. So it is what it is. Thank you to the fans for being patient and understanding that, you know, I was a kid and certain things I had to figure out as I went along, and that's what happened. So
yeah, I mean, and that was a thing going on in the culture back then. I mean, like you had King Son, Twin Hype. I mean, that was De La. I mean,
everybody had a house record. Well, De La's record was making fun of us, which was kind of actually got kicked out the
house. But it was still dope though.
Yeah, it was dope.
I mean, it was dope.
Yeah.
Queen Latifah, you know what I mean? So
some of that was classics though. Still to this day, like the Latifah joint, Doug Lazy. You know what I'm saying?
Doug Lazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
You know, it was just, to me, it was overkill on my first album. So
yeah, there was a bunch on there. It wasn't just one.
But it was still annoying enough for me to not really dig it once, you know. And then also, when Turn This House Into a Home was rocking in New York heavy, that got me the deal on Atlantic. By the time the Kingpin came out, like a year had passed, and House started making a left turn where, you know, there was no more real lyrics to the beats. It was like some vulgar saying, "Spank my ass, spank." I'm like, all right, man, House is getting a little funny here. I'm not really, you know what I'm saying? So it was one of those things as well. So
right, and just, I mean, like a lot of the styles, it took a commercial route, and there's still the dope shit, but it took a weird route, just like, you know, just like our shit as well. But that's dope though, man. I mean, I really just appreciate the versatility there, because as far as this track I heard with Rod Digger, you know, especially the intro she's like, yeah, I fuck with that house shit. I'm like, all right, let's go. So
Jersey, so
of course.
You know, Jersey was heavy with the house. You know what I'm saying? Peppermint Lounge. It was, you know, yeah. I perform at all these spots like Sensations and and all of that. So yeah. And the thing about it was, like, especially in Jersey, you would go to these clubs where they was playing this music, and you think it was all good, but it'd be a whole bunch of goons in the club dancing the house music.
That's what people don't understand, man.
Yeah,
they like, a lot of people don't really
like. They would just do a move and then catch you by the bathroom and whip your ass.
Right. Just fucking box cut it to the belly, like, quick. Like, you like, what happened?
Yeah.
Yes. For real, yo. But you were like one of the few, I think, if not the only cat of Juice Crew that wasn't signed to Coachella, though, right?
Me and Traj. Me and Traj got in different situations. Well, one of the main reasons I didn't sign to Coach Hill, and I was too young. I was young. So when I signed to Atlantic, I was 17, and I had to go to court to get my advance and promise that I would go to college and use some of the money to go to college in order for me to even get some of the money from my first advance.
Oh, shit.
So.
Wow. And you talked about, and I don't know if you're talking about your first deal, but you were talking about like that you may have traded some popularity for some bread, like, you know what I'm saying, in your career. Was that the Atlantic deal, or like, was that just,
no,
what do you feel that?
When I got with Atlantic, they still were feeling their way around doing hip hop music. You know what I mean? And if I would have probably signed to Cold Chillin', I probably would have had monetary issues, but I'm sure the projects would have got worked way better than Atlantic was working them. And that's just the truth, because back then, when I was on Atlantic, it was me, DOC, Kwame, MC Light, Audio 2, a few other people. And some of these people had albums that should have probably went double, triple platinum, and they probably only went gold because the system at the time at Atlantic Records was still trying to figure out how to do it. You know what I'm saying? I had one guy at Atlantic working all of these albums, and then he had an assistant, and the guy that was working all the albums lived in Philly and never was in the office. Like, they had dudes that worked R&B music working hip hop during that time. So,
right. Just people not, wrong fit. Sounds like wrong fit.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward to 2022, and games independent, everything's just go for self. How are you? You know, how have you adapted to that as an artist?
I'll be honest with you. If it wasn't for that, I probably would have walked away from the business. I would have walked away. I would have walked away because the fact that I was quiet for so long was because I was quiet because I didn't have a place in it like that. I didn't feel like I had a place in it because I was too outspoken for major labels. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of knew too much to sign with the incubator labels because I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know how many points I was getting, this, that, and like questions artists weren't asking.
Okay.
And I think, and was it 97, maybe 96? My man Chris, he used to work at Profile, had a label, and we put out this song called Sing Along With Me and Welcome to the Game. It was like my first foray in the independent game. And it was a successful record, like financial wise. And I didn't really have to dance around the whole label system. You know, oh, let me get this approved and make sure these dudes like this. And it was dope. And from there, that's when I started to realize, okay, there could be a place for me in this. You know what I'm saying? And that I could do it on my own terms. And I already knew it was a slow grind, but, you know, I liked it. You know, I liked it. I think of a lot of, I may not think a lot before I say shit, but I think a lot before all of my movements. So, you know.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, so, would you advise anybody to get into this now? Like, rap to make money?
To make money?
I guess not.
If you're getting into anything for the sole purpose of making money, I don't care what it is, you're not gonna like it that much. You're not gonna like it that much. You're not. And especially the music business, because the model has completely changed. I always say, if you're gonna get into this, create a fan base, create people that can rock with you, and you cater to them. And, you know, if you're authentic, there's gonna be loyalty to that.
Right.
And that's what you do. You understand what I'm saying? Like I always say this. I was talking to somebody yesterday about this. You have Home Depot, you have Jim's Hardware. Sure, Home Depot is bigger. Home Depot got a lot more merchandise. But Jim's Hardware has been here for 20, 30 years. He still has his loyal customers. There might be some slow months, but he's still in business. And eventually, when Home Depot becomes too oversaturated, they're going to close that location, and Jim's Hardware is going to be the only one there.
Thanks.
Hope you get that analogy.
Of course. Of course. Makes perfect sense. And that's a good point you made, man, about as far I've talked to people about this. Just get a core group of people that rock with you and you're good, man. I got people that go out to Turkey, Switzerland, and they're like, yo, I'm good here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So and it's a lot of patience, man. It's a lot of patience. So you have to, like I said, just get to know your core audience. I don't really, if you notice, years ago, I stopped discussing the issue with mainstream and all of that. It's not my business.
Right. You don't even.
My business. For me to think that a record that I am putting out through a distributor is going to find its way onto terrestrial radio in daytime or up against these labels with major budgets is pretty much a delusional thought.
Right. It is.
So what's going on there is not my business. I do have a problem with the overall theme of what they're pushing to the younger generation. But that's pretty much advertising and corporate stuff that I don't even really want to get into right now. So
right.
Yeah.
No, it's there.
No, I'm not busting the verse. Okay.
Yeah. Yo, dance for me, Craig G.
Not rap with Chris Thomas. Okay. All right.
Yo,
Do the Chris.
I just want.
What do you do?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I wanted to know who are some of the artists that you feel are more underrated, slept on MCs. No particular order, no favorites. Just like cats that you just feel maybe that are just are nicer than people no.
You mean like established artists?
We can go established. We can go unknown too. I mean, that's cool. Well,
De La Soul is one of the best MCs ever.
Of course.
Yeah, you'd say of course, but I've had many barbershop arguments about that.
Yeah, and I think it's because of the Daisy shit and all that stuff. I feel like people, but can't weed through that a little bit, maybe.
Let's see, underrated MCs, man.
The Pasta News is a killer. The Davis,
well, yeah, that's what I was saying. But let me think for a second because I like to big up people, that are not getting the spotlight like that. You know what I'm saying? So,
of course.
The obvious ones, like I'm reading the comments, Master Ace, but like Master Ace is like me. We don't. That whole underrated thing is like, it's subjective. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where we just do what we do, and that's it. But I like Rome Streets and dudes like that, like 38 Special and these dudes. I like those dudes because they're just doing them. When you can easily try to do what everybody else is doing just to get on because your name is getting a little buzz, they're still just doing them. So, I think that has a lot to do with it from like when you're like in a place that's really insular, where it's really not a lot going on, like how EPMD, like Long Island was, and all these places where all is the style that you have, and you're not really heavily influenced by the outside. So, yeah, that's how that is. Like, people are naming the obvious people, but like I think people know about Planet Asia and stuff like that. Like, so there's a lot of dope MCs. And again, it's not my job to tell you, man. Just go look. If you like a particular brand of hip hop, this device here, this phone, this computer, you can find whatever you like. So go look for it and go support it. That's all I can tell you is go support it, man.
Facts. Anything. It's out there. People, it's anything you want right now. You can find anything out there, man. All you gotta do is look. People ask, yo, where'd you get that mug, that jacket? I'm like, yo, fucking put the shit in the Google and you'll find it in 2 seconds, man.
Yeah. I think with Google, I get very short-tempered when people ask me questions now. It's like, you have a phone, man. Look it up.
I hear you. I do the same shit. I do the same shit. Yeah, you mentioned a few apps. People do know. Somebody mentioned Planet Asia. Yeah, I mean, I feel like came out a few years late. People, if he came out in like 93, 94, everybody'd be like, "Yo, this cat's crazy." What's next on the menu for you, man?
Go to work tomorrow.
In terms of project-wise, you said you got a couple joints you holding on to for a minute.
Well, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with those, but what I do know is that the Fragile Ego, again, like I said, it made such a connection. I just got some fresh beats from my man Fruition, who did the Fragile Ego, and they really kind of moved me. Like, what I do like also is that I do like the fact that like Nas Magic kind of reminded me of the Fragile Ego, and like as far as the mood of the project, and it kind of inspired me a little bit. And I'm already like 3 songs in on this new project. I don't have a title for it, but once it starts going, it kind of snowballs. So probably looking at something around March, around my birthday, around maybe like in the spring, we'll have a new project ready. Definitely.
That's what's up. One last question before we get out of here.
Good, we get out of here. I want to go smoke some reefer.
Last thing you could have smoked. Lasting legacy for you. Like what's your mark in the if you had one? Someone opens up a bottle 50 years down the road. What's Craig G? Who's Craig G?
That a dude could maintain a career in the entertainment business by just being himself. Sick. That's what I preach. If you look in the mirror and you don't see you don't really feel like what you're portraying to the public isn't you, then take a step back and think about it, man. That's pretty much it. Like, everything you hear me say is honest. That's another reason why I don't like to do many interviews, because the stuff I speak in my music is from here. And anything you need to know, you can listen to. I say it all the time in my songs. I'm antisocial. I don't know why you guys keep coming up to me, talking to me in public. You're not listening.
Oh shit. Yeah. I look at your pics and I be thinking you antisocial too. I be like, yo, what? I'm like, I was all right. But I thank you for being social enough to talk to us for an hour though. So I really do appreciate it, man.
All right, man. I need $20 a minute starting. Nah, I'm fucking with you, B. But
episode 78
better be coming soon, man. I do know.
Show them the one you got on real quick though.
Hold on. Show you the shirt. Okay, it's carrying the culture.
There it is.
You see the shirt? All right. Oh, you see the Craig G. Shout out to my man from Knights of Bellum and Hard. They did the Craig G joint. You know what I'm saying? Like there. Shout out to Ren the Writer. He did this joint. My name is on it. Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. All right, well, yeah. Enough of my house. Mind your business. All right.
We're gonna get this up. We'll get it on the YouTube. Thanks everybody for joining in real quick. We got Brother Jay next week. We got DV Alias Christ. Our new shows with A+, Talking Crazy starts soon. Tajay Casual, and then Keith Murray. So
bunch of dope MCs.
Yeah, should be good. So thank you again for joining us. Even though you didn't want to, you can go smoke your weed now, and your hoodie will be there soon.
As my grandmother used to say, I'm gonna smoke some weed and watch my programs.
All right, programs. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Salute everybody for joining in.
100 people love.
All right, be good.